Now on 4 News Now at 6, minimum wage is going up in Washington. How one business plans to offset the costs and how it will impact your wallet.
Fall weather is still nowhere to be found. Temperatures are 15 degrees above average. I'll let you know if we're going to cool off anytime soon in your first alert forecast.
Speeders beware. School zone cameras are now live on the South Hill, when they will start issuing tickets and why they're cracking down to save lives. You're watching 4 News Now at 6.
We have breaking news surrounding Camp Hope at this hour. Spokane County is now being authorized to file a lawsuit against WashDOT. It's an effort to clear out Camp Hope.
County commissioners gave the green light for prosecutors to file a lawsuit for the abatement of nuisance conditions at the camp. Commissioners say they approved the lawsuit filing option in support of Sheriff Ozzie Knezevich's plan to clear the camp out sooner than later. The sheriff says his goal is to clear it out in a matter of weeks rather than months.
WashDOT has said it wants to work with local officials to clear the camp in a way that helps people staying at Camp Hope find a place to stay off the streets and provides resources to those people. The commissioner's decision today gives prosecutors the ability to file a lawsuit. Now, we are waiting to find out from prosecutors if they will go forward with that suit. The minimum wage in Washington is going up, $1.25 this January.
KXLY's Jordan Smith spoke with a small business owner downtown about how he plans to adjust to this cost increase and the potential impact this could have on other businesses across the area.
Well, that's right. The minimum wage set to be raised to $15.74 an hour, $1.25 more per hour. And that might seem like a small bump in pay, but it could cost small businesses a pretty penny to keep up with that raise and could cost you more when you're out and about. With the minimum wage set to increase less than 3 months from now, Washington business owners are going to have to adjust. At Chicken and More downtown.
No, I'm not worried about it. It's just part of life.
Robert Hemphill is the owner of Chicken and More, a local eatery downtown. He says he's not all that bothered when it comes to wage increases, taxes, and other outside variables. The reason?
Pass right on to the consumer, yeah. And the consumer don't care. They after your product. They're not worried about your price so much.
For Hemphill, he offsets higher wages by bumping up the prices on his menu.
Every time we have a price hike, wholesale taxes or minimum wage, and we pass that cost right on to the consumer.
Washington is one of the few states where employers must pay all employees at least the state minimum wage, regardless of how much the employee might earn in tips. For smaller businesses like Hemphill's, that pay increase won't be all that substantial. But take a business with 25 staff members making minimum wage. Companies will be paying an extra $31.25 an hour, $250 per day, and $1,250 per week on their paychecks. For employees, that's great news, particularly with the rising cost of living in cities like Spokane. But if more businesses are thinking like Hemphill, consumers could expect to see their wallets a little bit lighter when they go out on the town. And so it'll be interesting to see how this plays out come January. A story we'll definitely be keeping an eye on when that pay raise takes place. Reporting in studio, I'm Jordan Smith, 4 News Now.
Jordan, thank you. If you're waiting for sweater weather, be prepared to wait a couple more weeks. We'll send it over to Chris Crocker to see when we can start changing our wardrobes.
Well, I tell you what, I happened to get up a little earlier than usual this morning, and I needed that sweater because we have cool, clear mornings in the forecast with the long nights, our clear skies. Temperatures drop quickly, but then we're into the sunny, warm weather in the afternoons with above average temperatures by 15 degrees. Keeping an eye on our air quality, you probably noticed the haze on the horizon, but our air quality has been in the good range for the most part, occasionally getting up into the moderate range in Spokane and Coeur d'Alene. Another story as we head further to the west around the Wenatchee area with wildfires burning in the Cascades. There is some air quality issue right along the east slopes, and some of that smoke is filtering this way, but so far we've been in pretty good shape with our air quality. Temperatures, meanwhile, right now are in the mid-70s after a high temperature up around 80 degrees. It's still in the 80s in Post Falls, Liberty Lake, and downtown Spokane, but we cool down quickly. We are going to see a few clouds drifting through overnight. They are just visiting. We are back to the sunshine full force in the forecast tomorrow. I will let you know what to expect and have your weekend outlook in just a few minutes. Aaron?
Chris, thank you. People are looking for love online in Idaho and paying the price. Idaho officials are sounding the alarm as the number of romance scams are on the rise. The Department of Finance says one Idahoan reported losing a substantial amount of money to a catfish scam. That's a form of romance where the scammer creates a fake online account to establish a relationship with the victim. To avoid falling victim to one of these scams, the department says don't trust, verify, do your own research online to get a better idea of who the person you're dealing with is. Most people have some type of online presence, including personal and professional information. Also, do a reverse image search, since scammers normally use real or stock photos taken from other websites. For more ways to avoid getting scammed, look for this story on KXLY.com.
A Moses Lake man accused of killing his wife last month is now headed back to Lincoln County. Sheriff's deputies say Charles Bergman has waived his extradition and is headed back to Washington from Pennsylvania, where he was captured. He's accused of killing his wife Teresa about 2 weeks ago. Sheriff's deputies say Teresa visited an old boyfriend in New York, and Charles picked her up at the Spokane International Airport when she flew home. They say her body was found in tall grass by a farmer several days later. Investigators believe Charles used a shovel to kill her. Well, you'll want to think twice about speeding through school zones on the South Hill. Safety cameras in 3 school zones are now issuing warnings to speeders, but that's ending next month when the city will start giving tickets to anyone going above the speed limit.
Speeding is a deadly and costly problem, especially in school zones. Drivers going over the posted 20 miles per hour speed limit in school zones at Ferris High School, as well as Adams and Roosevelt Elementary, will receive a warning. Drivers will start getting tickets in November. That's November 1st. Vanessa Perez is live on the South Hill with how this will keep children safe.
Well, school is already out for the day, but these cameras behind me will catch drivers who speed during school hours. The city has safety cameras over on the north side of town, but wanted to extend that here to the South Hill. Consequences for not slowing down can be deadly. SPD says a pedestrian hit by a car at 20 miles per hour has a 90% chance of survival. That drops to 50% at 30 miles per hour and even lower at a higher speed rate. The city council wanted to find a solution to the growing problem after an elementary student was hurt by a speeding driver in 2014. SPD works with Spokane Public Schools to narrow down where to put the cameras. A dad who just moved his family from Wyoming tells us he feels safer about bringing his children to school.
I see a lot of speeders go in and out of the school zones anytime, and I know school zones go on a lot of a block area, but most people don't understand that. And most of these kids live close by too, and no one really sees a small 1-year-old, 2, 3 going across the street.
Again, the city is set to issue tickets starting November 1st. Tickets can cost you anywhere from $217 to $450, and the city says it issued 19,000 tickets in school zones last year. This money goes back to that program and to fund traffic safety and calming. Live on the South Hill, Vanessa Perez, 4 News Now.
Vanessa, thank you. And it may feel like traffic comes to a crawl when driving through a school zone, but it's important to remember that just by going a few miles over could be the difference between life and death. Experts say a person hit by a car going 20 miles an hour has a 90% chance of survival. That drops to 50% at 30 miles an hour and as low as 10% at 40 miles an hour.
I-90 has connected the state for but one community, it's cut it in half. How the state plans to reconnect it decades later. Well, get ready for Zags basketball. The season is right around the corner, and this year's schedule looks to be one of the toughest in years. Alex Tresenti will break down their biggest non-conference matchups. That's coming up in sports. You're watching 4 News Now at 6.
Track live radar on the 4 News Now weather app.
Save your greed!
Happy Take and Bake Tuesday!
Every Tuesday at Papa Murphy's, you can get any large pizza for just $12, which makes Tuesday the best day to bring home all your favorites.
We might have too many favorites.
Order now at papamurphys.com.
Watch 4 News Now as the Extreme Team upgrades the Carl Maxey Center. What we're going to do is go in and get into the next phase of operation. That's going to be a new library. There's going to be a place in back. There's going to be a nice patio. Watch 4 News Now's Extreme Team, sponsored by Horizon Credit Union.
Democrats in Washington are threatening our way of life. Reckless spending fueling inflation. Shutting down energy production here at home. A push to defund the police. Kathy McMorris Rogers is fighting every day to stop them and protect Eastern Washington, cutting spending to curb inflation, unleashing American energy production, and making sure law enforcement has the resources they need. Kathy McMorris Rogers, our voice.
I'm Kathy McMorris Rogers, and I approve this message.
Providence has been focused on meeting the needs of the community for over 160 years, and we are honored to bring you top-rated Medicare Advantage coverage. Providence plans start at just $0 and include dental, hearing, and vision. Experience the difference of a community of care, united by compassionate coverage. Providence, join us as we make communities stronger by building true health together.
With more and more people working from home and not being as active as they used to, there's never been a better time to get back to the gym.
And Move Fitness wants to help. You can join now for around $1 a day to create a new routine for you.
Join the movement. No one goes all in on made-from-scratch freshness like Papa Murphy's. Because when you go all in, people notice. Go all in with the Triple Pet Pizza for just $11.99. Papa Murphy's. Change the way you pizza.
The November 8th general election is now just 5 weeks away. Voters in Airway Heights will decide on the city's transportation funding renewal this year. Funding from the Transportation Benefit District is used to maintain streets and sidewalks and relieve traffic congestion.
And the city now wants to increase tax revenue to continue to fund the planned construction projects. Peter Choi explains how the renewal could help with safety in this neighborhood.
People in this neighborhood say they feel like they're putting their lives at risk every day when trying to cross the road. They're hoping new signals will make it safer.
Safety is huge. Cars go too fast out here.
Crossing one of the busiest roads is such a challenge for some people in this part of the neighborhood. One walker near Hayford Road says the road is too dangerous for parents with kids to cross.
Trying to wheel their little children across between cars that didn't stop for them, didn't slow, probably didn't notice them.
The city hopes to renew its funding for streets and sidewalks, increasing tax revenue to 3 cents for a $10 purchase. Why the increase?
So when we talk with community members, visitors to Airway Heights, they identify different concerns about safety, be it pedestrian safety or traffic safety.
To do so, city officials want to install traffic signals on 12th Avenue and Hayford Road and sidewalks. They believe it will help ease traffic congestion.
But in general, Hayford carries a substantial amount of traffic on it on a daily basis of commuters going back and forth. So it makes for a lot of congestion, and it makes for a challenging situation for a pedestrian trying to cross.
City officials hope to extend streets from Hayford Road to Garfield Road to make an alternate way for drivers. If voters approve the renewal, the city will raise around $935,000 a year. In Airway Heights, Peter Choi, 4 News Now.
Well, for the first time in more than 15 years, Spokane County will have a new sheriff, with Sheriff Ozzie Knezevich not running for re-election. The candidates are current Undersheriff John Knowles and retired Detective Wade Nelson, and they will be grilled on how they plan on cracking down on crime and keeping your family safe in a debate this Thursday at noon. You can watch the debate live this Thursday on KXLY.com and KXLY+.
Wednesday is going to be warm. We'll start the day off down in the 40s, 53 by 8 o'clock, heading up to a high of 80 degrees. Our average high is 65. I'll be back with your 7-day forecast after the break.
Stream 4 News Now on your TV for free with the KXLY Plus app.
4 News Now is brought to you by Move Fitness.
My husband has diabetes.
Even with health insurance, we're having a hard time affording our medications.
Thankfully, we have Patty Murray fighting for us in the U.S. Senate. She kept at it till Congress finally lowered the cost of prescription drugs
and capped insulin for seniors at $35 a month.
Now we'll save thousands every year. We know when Patty is back in the other Washington.
She is working for us.
I'm Patty Murray, and I approve this message.
This week, the stars are starting their day with America's favorite morning show. Tomorrow, Shawn Mendes, Javier Bardem, Hilary Swank live. Thursday, Mike Myers live. And Friday, funny girl Leah Michelle on ABC's Good Morning America.
If you're looking to score big on the best lineup of certified used or new SUVs and trucks just in time for the winter months, plus get up to 60 months low interest financing, then come on down to Finley for a touchdown of savings.
Are you a U.S. citizen? Are you 18 or older? Have you lived in Washington state for at least 30 days? If so, you are likely eligible to vote in Washington. Voter pamphlets and ballots are available in multiple languages. Your vote is your voice, and your voice matters. Make a plan to vote. Learn more about eligibility at sos.wa.gov and get registered today at votewa.gov.
Here at the Meade School District, energy management, it's been something that's been on the rise as far as what's important to us. The reason why is, as the budget continues to shrink, we need to do more with less. Yeah, I love Avista. They've been really great to work with. When I have energy efficiency ideas, I get in touch with my rep. They'll go back to their project managers and to the engineers. Avista does a really great job of telling you what the simple payback will be of any of the projects, and then you can make an educated decision on whether you want to move forward.
Oh, life, how small you start, in the beautiful beat of a tiny heart. A wonder to witness, a pearl so rare, will surround you with love and world-class healthcare. Providence. We see the life in you.
Oh my goodness, it is a beautiful evening. Here's a sign of fall. The sun is setting. It is already set. In fact, a live look over the Spokane County Courthouse, Spokane Veterans Memorial Arena. We do have some clouds that are going to be moving through tonight. May just block your star viewing, and then they'll be gone by tomorrow. They're not bringing any precipitation. And we're going to be right back up in the 80-degree range again tomorrow. That was our high today, 80 degrees. 65 is our average high. We weren't quite in record territory. That's 87, set back in 1943. Sunset, well, I guess it's still a few minutes to sunset, 6:23, but we're very close. 76 and partly cloudy right now in Spokane. Very dry air, light winds. Currently in Coeur d'Alene at 75 degrees. Light winds there as well. Partly cloudy tonight, 49 degrees for an overnight low. For tomorrow, a high of 80 with blue skies and sunshine. The clouds will clear. Here's our satellite showing that band of clouds moving across the region, but no precipitation coming out of those clouds, and they'll be moving out as quickly as they move in. We have high pressure in control. It's flattened just a little bit to let those clouds through, but by Wednesday, 11 a.m., we're going to start to see that ridge building right back up. Blue skies, sunshine, temperatures in the 80-degree range. Looks like Thursday will be our warmest day. May even get a little into the lower 80s before we start to see our temperatures moderate a little bit, but I think it's going to be a while before we see any precipitation heading our way. There's no sign of it in the 7-day forecast, and that may be the case for the next couple of weeks. Overnight lows tonight will be down in the 40s and 50s, even with highs in the 80s, with our long night, clear skies, light winds, dry air. All sorts of factors coming together to allow these temperatures to drop very efficiently. But that dry air also warms very efficiently. So once again, we're going to be up in the 80s. Very few 70s on the map. Kellogg, 79, 76 in Sandpoint, 78 tomorrow in Bonners Ferry. Here's a look at your planning forecast. We're going to stay warm through Thursday. Well, stay warm through the 7-day forecast, but we'll drop into the 70s for Friday and into the weekend. These temperatures are still more than 10 degrees above average. We'll be staying above average through the 7-day outlook. 69 on Tuesday. At least we're down in the 60s. Our average high by this time next week is 61. However, overnight lows crisp will be in the 40s, but nowhere near freezing, and there's no sign of freezing weather coming in the 8 to 14-day forecast either. It looks like we're going to be stuck with this warm fall weather for a while. Kirsten?
I don't hear very many complaints, though, Chris. Zero, she says. Well, we are in the full swing of college football season. Of course, you know that, but it's about time for the basketball season to start. And for the Gonzaga Bulldogs, that means another year of competing for the national championship. Today, the team finalized their upcoming 2022 to 2023 schedule.
It is not lacking in the number of marquee games. Alex Crescenti joins us now. Alex is here to break down those conference opponents.
That's right. We knew what the schedule was going to kind of look like for a while now, and I think it's easy to say this is the toughest non-conference slate ever for Gonzaga. Well, they're going to open up play in just a few weeks with an exhibition against Tennessee down in Frisco, and then follow that up with another the next week against Warner Pacific before getting the actual season underway on Monday, November 7th against North Florida. But after that, this is where the schedule gets really interesting. They're going to play Michigan State on the deck of the USS Abraham Lincoln down in San Diego, only to follow that up with a matchup at Texas before returning home to play Kentucky on November 20th. That game's going to be in the Spokane Arena. As if that's not tough enough, they're going to go to Portland to participate in the Phil Knight Legacy Tournament, which features the likes of Duke, Florida, Purdue, and West Virginia. No easy task winning that there. After all that, it's even more neutral site games, this time against Baylor in a rematch of the 2021 National Championship game. That game is being played in Sioux Falls for some reason. Then it's finally back to the Kennel for 3 straight home games, Washington being the headliner there. Then back on the road to take on Bama, one of 3 teams to beat them last year. And then they will wrap up that gauntlet slate with home games at Montana and Eastern Oregon, which was an exhibition last year, but both those games going to be played during the Christmas break. Obviously, the glaring part of this schedule is the lack of big games inside the McCarthy Athletic Center. We were used to seeing that with Texas last year. You know, Kentucky is that only marquee game within Spokane this year, but it's going to be played inside the arena. Well, but, you know, Mark Few does this every single year at this point to get this team ready for March to compete for national championships. Could this be the year? We're going to find out.
And a lot of people are asking, when are we going to get the tickets? When are we going to see the tickets come
That's not a me question. I don't know.
When I say a lot of people, I have like 2 people texting me. But anyhow, yeah, we'll have to ask more. Thanks, Alex. Well, former President Donald Trump is now asking the Supreme Court to weigh in on the classified documents seized at his South Florida home. What court decision he wants overturned coming up.
Winter, it's right around the corner, and that means the return of Fat Bear Week.
We'll explain how you can cast your vote on which tanking tummy reigns supreme.
And why one Central Valley principal spent the entire day on the roof of his school. That's coming up on 4 News Now at 6.
Download the 4 News Now app today.
Big dreams for your business don't necessarily require a big bank, just a better bank. Mountain West Bank helps you establish a credit line, grow your business, and more, all with local decisions, making us a better financial partner. Mountain West Bank. Today, tomorrow, together.
Thanks to Joe Biden, food, fuel, everything costs too much. His energy policies and massive spending spree are driving skyrocketing prices, fueling the worst inflation in decades. 2 years ago, we were a self-sufficient, energy-independent, energy-exporting nation. Today, our energy production has been crippled. I'm Mike Crapo. I approve this message. Let's stop the spending free-for-all, let loose American energy, and fix inflation.
Get exactly what you want. Wendell Ford is ready to help you find that vehicle you've been wanting to buy. Built for you. F-150, Bronco, Bronco Sport, Explorer, Mach-E, and Maverick. Here's how it works. Make a list of options you want. Wendell will work with you on financing to fit your budget. And then we will order the vehicle of your dreams or select from current inventory. Get exactly what you want. Built for you. Wendell Ford at the Y. Drive for generations.
Some people say the metaverse will only be virtual. But one day, this farmer will use augmented reality to help ensure the best yield. Urban planners will model traffic solutions to help decrease commute times. Exploring a spacecraft in a museum is one thing. But one day, the metaverse will help students learn about the rings of Saturn. The metaverse may be virtual, but the impact will be real.
My son's name was Carson. He was just the light of my life. His anxiety and his inability to sleep caused him to purchase a pill from Snapchat, and we know that it's what killed him. Congresswoman McMorris Rogers is bringing awareness to this. She personally reached out to me. She took the time to hear Carson's story. She has been driven in trying to prevent further loss.
I'm Kathy McMorris Rogers, and I approve this message.
It could finally be that home remodel. It could be that pool you've always wanted. It could be an investment in your future graduate. With local lenders and local decisions, we've got loans for whatever your future holds. Mountain West Bank. Today, tomorrow, together.
4 News Now is brought to you by Gamma Knife.
Brand new tonight at 6. After years of frustration, flight attendants will now be given longer breaks in between flights.
CNN's Chris Wynn explains how this rule could make your next flight safer.
For years, frustrated flight attendants have been pushing for change.
This started in the late 80s as flight attendants were identifying the problems with fatigue.
Flight attendants flying fatigued, sometimes on back-to-back flights, all while being on the front lines in the skies.
Sometimes the flight attendants are the first person that a passenger sees when something goes wrong. We are the first person, after they pass through security, after they check their bags, we have to deal with the brunt of the frustration in airline travel right now.
Compensate us. Give us the rest that we need.
Now, the FAA has announced a new rule that extends the minimum mandated rest period for flight attendants from 9 to 10 consecutive hours between shifts when scheduled for a duty period of 14 hours or less.
Flight attendants had even fewer rest hours than pilots. I worked alongside them, traveled with them, and I can tell you firsthand that well-rested crew members are important to safety.
Despite the big win, airline activists say their fight is far from over.
We continue to make this one standard of safety and continue to press forward to ensure that this minimum rest is also applied for cargo pilots.
In Washington, I'm Chris Wynn.
Around the nation, 5 members of the far-right militia group, the Oath Keepers, are facing decades in prison for their role in the January 6th insurrection. All of them, including the organization's founder, Stuart Rhodes, pleaded not guilty to seditious conspiracy, a rare and serious charge that carries a penalty of up to 20 years in prison. Federal prosecutors said they all came up with a plan for an armed rebellion and band together to do whatever was necessary to stop the transfer of power between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Here's what the founder had to say a few days after the election.
We have men already stationed outside D.C. as a nuclear option in case they attempt to remove the president illegally. We will step in and stop it.
Prosecutors argue that over the next 2 months, Rhodes recruited dozens of Oath Keepers and then deployed the militia to Washington, D.C. and Virginia on January 6th to disrupt the certification of Biden's victory. In his own opening statement, Rhodes' lawyer argued that the Oath Keepers never planned to attack and instead were waiting on Trump to invoke the Insurrection Act, a move they argue would have legally deputized the militia. Rhodes is expected to testify later this month.
Former President Donald Trump is now asking the Supreme Court to step into the legal fight over the classified documents seized at his South Florida home. Mr. Trump's lawyers are asking the justices to overturn a lower court ruling and permit an independent arbiter or a special master to review the roughly 100 documents that were labeled classified. A 3-judge panel last month limited the special master's review to the ones that were not classified.
Hospitals across the country are cutting services to avoid closing their doors.
Find out why and if we're seeing a similar trend here in the Inland Northwest. Plus,
millions of dollars are coming right here to East Central to reconnect a community I-90 tore apart. Coming up, see what's in the works and what neighbors are still asking for.
Sign up for breaking news alerts with the 4 News Now app.
At Jewelry Design Center, we're one of the few shops in the country that can do everything in-house, start to finish. We're fortunate enough to have 2 locations, one in Spokane and one in the Tri-Cities. We don't send anything off-site. It's all done right here, and what that means for you is better pricing because we don't have a middleman that we have to mark up onto, and quicker turnaround time. You're having it back in a matter of days rather than a matter of weeks or months. We're in this for the long haul. We want to be your jeweler for life.
It's time for 4 News Now, Coats for Kids. Just drop off new or gently used coats at any of our sponsored locations. We'll bring them to Alsco for professional cleaning, then get them out to local children in need. Donate to Coats for Kids through October 31st.
Hello, I'm Denver Toon. Jewelry Design Center is very proud and excited to partner with 4 News Now's Coats for Kids this fall. So stop by the store, help your community, and donate to those in need. You can also get your free jewelry cleaning and inspection while you're here.
Welcome to Coeur d'Alene Honda, home of the lifetime warranty.
Well, hi. Hey, I'm looking for a new Honda, but I heard some dealers are charging outrageous prices.
At Coeur d'Alene Honda, we're not doing that. With us, it's business as usual.
That's a relief. And we include a lifetime warranty at no additional cost.
We are a family-owned dealership, and our reputation is far more valuable than overcharging our customers.
We want to be here for you today, tomorrow, and in the future.
And don't forget about our lifetime warranty.
Call today for our available inventory and check out our website at cdahonda.com.
It's time to replace your old tub with a new shower, but you don't want the hassle or the worry of getting it finished. You just want to pick a style and relax, knowing that it'll be wonderful when it's done. Is that too much to ask? No, actually it's not. Rebath, from start to stunning. Call us or visit rebath.com and save $1,250 off your complete bathroom remodel.
At Washington Trust Bank, can't is a 4-letter word.
I think I'll sell my veggies at the market.
You even remember to water the house plants. I do this?
You can do this.
Hey, we need to build a home office. We're adding another bathroom.
I think I'll study programming.
Bro, you even connect your phone to Bluetooth.
We believe you can do whatever you set your mind to, and we'll help you get there. Washington Trust Bank, privately owned, locally invested.
Live from downtown Spokane, this is 4 News Now at 6:30.
I-90 has connected the state for decades while at the same time dividing a community. Improvements are now on the way to bring that community back together. Washington's Department of Transportation was just awarded $5 million to reconnect neighborhoods across the state.
And some of the money is set to go to East Central. DOT knows the area is in need of improvements after the freeway ripped apart the neighborhood when it was built. Tonight at 6:30, Esther Bauer shows us the impact for the people living there.
I'm standing in an empty lot here in East Central where a home was torn down to build I-90. Now a new investment is coming to reconnect the community.
Where the freeway is now, that was just one row of houses and they were all facing south, as I remember.
Finley Taylor remembers because he was there when I-90 was built. He's always lived in East Central and even sold 4 of his properties to the Department of Transportation.
When the freeway went through, it really separated us out.
That's what this highway's done for decades. Now new money could change its impact. With the new grant, DOT wants to create a land bridge near Liberty Park. They say the bridge would make it safer for pedestrians, could cut down bus transfers for people, and would encourage more trail use.
This is definitely a step in the right direction in building some equity in infrastructure back in our neighborhood.
East Central's Neighborhood Council says reinvesting is crucial because the freeway's done damage over the years.
This area just dried up. The people moved away because of the freeway, and the business opportunities dried up. The jobs went away.
Overgrown weeds and empty lots show that impact. The changes didn't turn Taylor and his wife away, but he is welcoming the new updates.
If they could connect the Uniontown a little bit more, I think that would be nice.
With millions of dollars in new money now secured, the changes are closer, but more studies and feedback are still needed to alter the look of the neighborhood. And you can learn more about the timeline of this project and what else the Department of Transportation is planning with this funding. Just head on over to KXLY.com and click on this story. Reporting in East Central, Esther Bauer, 4 News Now.
And a live look over downtown Spokane. The lights are on at the pavilion. Oh boy, the sun has already set in the last half hour. A little bit of haze on the horizon. We'll have a few clouds drifting through tonight. Otherwise, here's 4 things to know about your weather. We've got some cool, clear mornings ahead. It is brisk in the morning, even though it heats up nicely during the day. We have more 80s ahead, above average temperatures, and we'll be keeping an eye on the air quality over the next few days. High temperatures across the region today, many 80s, including at the airport in Spokane. So our official temperature, 80 degrees, 80 at Post Falls, 82 in Spokane Valley, and in downtown is 81 today in Deer Park. Temperatures right now, it's still 80 in Post Falls. Not for long. Now that that sun is set, those temperatures will be dropping quickly. We're mostly in the 70s around the Spokane and Coeur d'Alene area, already in the 60s in Sandpoint, Bonners Ferry, as well as Colville. Our air quality right now is in the good range in most locations. As we get into the overnight, some of that smoke begins to settle closer to the surface. We'll see things getting closer into the moderate range, but I think we're going to be in pretty good shape with our air quality. Just that haze on the horizon. Once you get over into the Wenatchee area, closer to those Cascade fires, the air quality becomes a concern. Your Wednesday forecast, blue skies, sunshine, and a high temperature of 80 degrees. I'll be back with your 7-day outlook in just a few minutes. Kirsten.
Chris, thank you. Brand new tonight at 6:30. Hospitals across the county are cutting services and trying to find creative ways to save money, as many could soon be forced to close their doors for good. And that's not the case yet here in the Inland Northwest, but it could soon change as local hospitals are dealing with increased costs and staffing shortages. An executive at Multicare says they've lost more than $250 million this year, with $22 million coming from August alone. He went on to say that a big part of that comes from not being able to discharge patients who no longer need medical care. And at one point, Multicare says they had more than 200 patients who had nowhere to go, costing the hospital hundreds of thousands of dollars. On top of that, hospitals are being forced to hire expensive travel nurses to help deal with staffing issues.
At times, those numbers have been as much as $30 million of additional expense per month to care for the high demand and acuity of patients.
To help deal with staffing shortages, Multicare says they are partnering with other hospitals to invest and help train the next generation of nurses and certified medical assistants. Well, 5 people are now facing charges after sheriff's deputies say they were caught in the act punching gas tanks at a car dealership in North Spokane. Deputies say security at the Lithia dealership on Newport Highway called seeing people dressed in dark clothing trying to open car doors right around 1 o'clock this morning. They say they caught 2 guys in the act of stealing gas, using a cordless drill to punch the tanks and drain gas into gas cans. They say at least 10 vehicles on the property were damaged. Sheriff's officials say a teenage girl was waiting in a car nearby during that, and they say she had 2 other people in the car and that they tried to get away at one point, but deputies were able to stop her. 3 adults and 2 teens were arrested on charges including theft and trying to run from police.
First payments from a more than $500 million settlement with the nation's largest opioid distributors will begin in December. The state attorneys general says the money can be used to hire first responders or be put towards direct treatment, prevention, and other services to combat the opioid crisis. Over the last 20 years, more than 500,000 people in the U.S. have died from overdoses linked to opioids, including prescription painkillers.
It's not every day you see a man on a school roof, but one Central Valley School District principal made a deal with his students, and he had to keep his end of the deal. Take a look at this. Mr. Clemens spent the entire day on the roof at Summit School in Spokane Valley today. The Wolf Pups and their families were tasked with raising money for school projects and hands-on activities to do throughout the year. They needed to raise $50,000, and boy, did they come through.
We have a lot of things we do here at Summit that take us out of the building that cost money, and our parent group comes together and creates a fundraiser. So we had a fun run, and they set a goal for $50,000. I told the kids that I did not think they could make $50,000, and if they made it, I would spend the day on the roof. And they blew us out of the water, and we easily surpassed our goal. So they were right and I was wrong. I'm just so impressed and amazed that our families and our kids came through the way they did. It's great to feel the support that they have to make things happen here at Summit.
Great to see the principal following through too, right, on a promise. $60,000 is a serious chunk of change. Principal Clemens says that money funds things like trips to the Hiawatha Trail in Idaho, activities in Post Falls, and even to Green Bluff Farms. Congratulations on a great fun run to the Wolf Pups, and we hope Mr. Clemens enjoys being back in his office tomorrow.
I'm sure he will.
Well, with winter right around the corner, bears are hitting berry buffets and packing on the pounds for hibernation, which means that the Fat Bear Week is back. It's a bracket where you can vote on which bear you think will be the fattest of all. This is my first Fat Bear Week, so I apologize.
That's a fat bear.
This is meant to celebrate how well they've done it, packing on their pounds and preparing for winter. So here's how it works. Each set of bears will go head-to-head in a single elimination March Madness style tournament where you will vote on which bear you think is the chunkiest until one bear is named the Titan of Tonnage. Voting opens tomorrow, but we have a link to learn more about bears in this year's tournament on KXLY.com.
It's all in good fun. There's no fat bear shaming here.
Not at all.
We love them. Eastern Washington Eagles are coming off a tough defeat this past weekend down in Florida. Coming up in sports, Alex Crescenti has more on the message Aaron Best has for his team despite their slow start.
Stream 4 News Now on your TV for free with the KXLY Plus app.
4 News Now is brought to you by Coeur d'Alene Denture Clinic.
My husband has diabetes.
Even with health insurance, we're having a hard time affording our medications.
Thankfully, we have Patty Murray fighting for us in the U.S. Senate. She kept at it till Congress finally lowered the cost of prescription drugs.
And capped insulin for seniors at $35 a month.
Now we'll save thousands every year. We know when Patty is back in the other Washington.
She is working for us.
I'm Patty Murray, and I approve this message.
Get exactly what you want. Wendell Ford is ready to help you find that vehicle you've been wanting to buy. Built for you. F-150, Bronco, Bronco Sport, Explorer, Mach-E, and Maverick. Here's how it works. Make a list of options you want. Wendell will work with you on financing to fit your budget. And then we will order the vehicle of your dreams or select from current inventory. Get exactly what you want. Built for you. Wendell Ford at the Y. Drive for generations.
It's time to elevate your finances. Introducing Ascend Checking, the new free checking account from P1FCU that pays you dividends. Earn 1.45% APY on balances up to $15,000. Plus, get online and mobile banking and mobile deposit with no minimum balance requirements. Level up your finances with Ascend Checking. To open your account, visit p1fcu.org/ascend. P1FCU, a Pacific Northwest original since 1938.
The TikTok wedding date. Next in Sun Edition.
No date.
This guy couldn't find a date for a wedding, so he went on TikTok. Wait till you see the response he got.
I was honestly flabbergasted when it hit 10,000 views, and it ended up with millions.
Then, cheating and fishing.
Oh!
Look what they found when they opened this record-breaking catch. Lead weights.
We got weights and fish!
Next in Sun Edition.
Watch 4 News Now at 6 and Inside Edition at 7.
Oh, here's a time lapse looking at the sunset tonight. A beautiful scene here of the Spokane Veterans Memorial Marina and the county courthouse, and some clouds moving in, a little bit of wildfire smoke on the horizon, giving it some color. Very pretty scene there. I was up a little earlier than usual this morning, which is not saying much, to let the dogs out. And not only was it chilly after a high yesterday in the 80s, it was down in the 40s, but the dogs wouldn't go onto the grass. I had to force them because of the dew, which is something I don't see very often at my house during the summer because it is so warm. So I just thought I would do a little explainer and brush up on why we have dew on certain nights and not on others. And it has to do with the dew point. That makes sense. We talk about that a lot. That is the temperature at which the air can no longer hold any moisture. It is saturated and we get condensation, oftentimes in the form of fog. The air's too dry for that, but the air right above the grass is not. So let's just say, for example, our dew point is 43. Very reasonable temperature. The air just above the surface, let's say 67 degrees. Definitely a nice difference there between those two temperatures during the day. But on clear, long nights in the fall, we lose our daytime heating very easily, and that temperature right above the surface can drop to the dew point quite easily. And with our rains that we had last week, there is a little more soil moisture than what we have had, and so our dew points right at the surface may be just a little higher, and so temperature drops to the dew point, can no longer hold any moisture. Those temperatures are essentially the same, and we end up with condensation on the grass, little dew. Dogs won't go out and do their business. Got to drag them out there. And that may be the case again tomorrow. Dew points around the region right now are in the 30s and 40s. They may increase a little bit by tomorrow morning. And as our temperatures drop tonight into the 50s and mostly the 40s, we'll see that dew forming once again, although we are having these dry days one after another. So your grass may be drying out and the soil moisture along with it. So our odds of seeing that dew go down. Wednesday's highs, meanwhile, we are going to be right back up in the 70s and 80s, mostly in the 80s around the region. 80 in Spokane, 80 in Coeur d'Alene. We'll do it again on Thursday. Might even get into the lower 80s on Thursday before our temperatures drop a little bit. But these readings are well above average right on through the 7-day forecast. Kirsten?
Chris, thank you. Ukrainian troops continue to push south. Russian military bloggers reporting Russian troops have abandoned the entire northeastern end of the area. One former Russian commander saying their forces had to retreat to avoid being surrounded.
Some military analysts predict if President Vladimir Putin's troops fail to quickly stabilize Ukraine's southern flank, Russian forces there will be in danger of imploding. This news comes following a series of victories in the northeast, as well as in areas Russia illegally annexed a few days ago, leaving many experts saying it could be impossible for Putin to achieve his military objectives. Already more than 355,000 Russians have escaped their country to avoid Putin's military draft. That's according to Russian independent media.
Well, new tonight at 6:30, President Biden announced 2 new steps toward boosting federal abortion rights protections. The first is guidance from the Department of Education, which reiterates Title IX requirements that forbid discrimination against students based on pregnancy or pregnancy termination. The second is a grant for more than $6 million to protect and expand access to reproductive health care. The president also calling on lawmakers to pass legislation to protect a person's right to choose.
Got Roe right nearly 50 years ago, and the Congress should codify the protections of Roe and do it once and for all. But right now we're short a handful of votes. So the only way it's going to happen is if the American people make it happen.
Here's a look at ABC's primetime lineup tonight. It's Bachelor in Paradise at 8, followed by The Rookie, Feds at 10.
Download the 4 News Now app today.
Some people say the metaverse will only be virtual. But one day, this lecture hall will be made of code. And though they're virtual students, what they'll learn together is real. A surgeon will be able to practice as many times as needed in the metaverse before laying her hands on a real patient. Being able to explore a spacecraft is one thing, but the metaverse will let us go farther than any rocket can take us. In the future, students will be able to take a field trip to ancient Rome. And young artists can learn from a masterpiece. Farmers will one day use augmented reality to help ensure the best yields. And urban planners will be able to model traffic solutions to help decrease commute times. So while the metaverse may be virtual, the impact will be real.
Your home is not in a tent somewhere by a river. It is not in an encampment on the side of the road. It is not behind a dumpster. I know because I've been there. You are worth so much more than where you are at right now. Your home is what saved people. You can be known and loved.
At 23, I quit my nursing job to care for my wounded husband, student loans and all. We are living proof that the American dream is about hand-ups, not handouts. That's why I think it's insane that Joe Biden and Patty Murray are sending a stadium full of new IRS agents to force families making less than $75,000 to pay for someone else's law degree. It's division wrapped in intimidation, and I will stop them. I'm Tiffany Smiley, and I approve this message.
I was a guidance counselor for 20 years. I finally get to fulfill my lifelong dream of being in the FBI.
Remember, this guy could be packing. FBI, freeze!
Oh, he is packing.
Oh, life, to care is our calling. Your well-being, our primary concern. Dedicated doctors meeting your needs wherever you are. World-class healthcare within easy reach. Providence, we see the life in you.
4 News Now is brought to you by Move Fitness.
After playing on Sunday afternoon down in Gainesville, Florida, the Eastern Washington Eagles arrived back home early Monday morning and finally got into bed just before the sun was coming up around 4:30 in the morning. But as if it was a strange week ending with a blowout loss, that wasn't enough. The team has to get up and prepare for another stiff test on the road this weekend, this time against 4-0 Weber State. Now, the Eagles find themselves in a bit of a strange place with a 1-3 record for just the second time in the last 10 years. Of course, that schedule has been a gauntlet to get through as the team has played against Power 5 opponents, Oregon and Florida, and then starting Big Sky play against a top 5 ranked Montana State team, in which they came down to the final minutes and they lost that one at home. But even through all the struggles early on, head coach Aaron Best says their message in the locker room isn't changing from what it was on day 1 of the season.
After Florida kind of gave us more confidence, like, hey, like, we just played the SEC team.
They're pretty good. We did pretty good. We can come in and do something special, coming into conference. So I think coming in this week, we have some confidence. I think we can do some good things this week.
That's what the outsiders want. They want the scoreboard to reflect actually how good a team is. Coaches know it's not always that case. You can be fooled by the scoreboard too, good and bad. So the message doesn't deviate from what it was. You don't change your message based on the outcome of the game. You challenge them in the same way. Pick out things that we've been good at. We sustained a lot of good things offensively against an SEC team.
Eagles will travel down to Ogden, Utah this weekend to take on the Wildcats. Eastern hasn't lost their first 2 conference games since the 2019 season, the last time they failed to make the FCS playoffs. Now to some day baseball. Game 1 of a doubleheader between the Mariners and the Tigers, the final 3 games of the regular season. Bottom of the 3rd, Tigers with the early lead, but Kurt Casale is going to take this ball to deep left field. That carries out for a home run, his 5th on the season. We're going to be all tied up. For Casale, a chance to get some playing time at the end of the regular season. A few batters later, it's going to be Mitch Haniger with a man on, goes deep as well. That's going to land out in the beer garden. Not exactly full today, but I imagine if the M's can host a game in the playoffs, that is going to be packed. Anyway, they take the lead. That is until Victor Reyes is going to take Mac Festa deep in the 7th, and that's a no-doubter as Detroit takes the lead. Not really the end of the world if Seattle doesn't win this game, since they're most likely taking on Toronto anyway in the first round. But the team is not quitting. They got no quit in them. In the bottom of the inning, Eugenio Suarez slaps this ball into left field. That's going to drive in a run. We're all tied up at 5 apiece. The game would go into extra innings. And there it would go to the M's in the 10th inning. They come from behind to win that one. And they are about to start in about an hour or so, game 2 of this one. So it's going to be a late night if you are in Seattle or just trying to watch those games. Guys, back to you.
Alex, thank you. The largest art exhibition in the Inland Northwest is back. It's the 13th year of Terrain. The event was put on hold because of the pandemic, and it makes its return to Spokane this Friday. More than 300 artists will have their work on display throughout an abandoned building in downtown Spokane. One local artist who has been a part of Terrain since 2016 says the best part about it is the electrifying energy and community support for local artists.
My favorite part is just seeing this entire building full of people who love art on Friday and seeing just wall-to-wall humans admiring local artists. It's so cool.
Terrain is the flagship event that kickstarted the art nonprofit, also called Terrain. You can buy tickets for a preview night on Thursday from 6 to 9 p.m. It's a chance to meet the artists, get a sneak peek of Terrain, and buy art before anyone else. Terrain itself is free to attend this Friday from 5 p.m. to midnight. If you want to know more, just find this story on KXLY.com.
Sign up for breaking news alerts with the 4 News Now app.
Next ET, the new royal era has begun.
The duties of monarchy remain.
Exclusive details from inside the palace and the king's game plan for William and Harry. Then our exclusive with this William. Shatner boldly goes there about his Star Trek rift and yes, that mission to the final frontier.
Don't go, don't go.
What does that do to your psyche when they say that?
How do they know that I don't know? Next, ET.
Watch 4 News Now at 6 and Entertainment Tonight at 7:30.
Thanks to Joe Biden, food, fuel, everything costs too much. His energy policies and massive spending spree are driving skyrocketing prices, fueling the worst inflation in decades. 2 years ago, we were a self-sufficient, energy-independent, energy-exporting nation. Today, our energy production has been crippled. I'm Mike Crapo. I approve this message. Let's stop the spending free-for-all, let loose American energy, and fix inflation.
Bill's Heating and Air Conditioning is your family-owned and operated #1 HVAC contractor in the Northwest. Bill's Heating and Air Conditioning would like to introduce our own carbon reduction program. Buy a new energy-efficient furnace from Bill's Heating and receive a matching air conditioner with installation absolutely free. No hidden fees, no conditions, no exceptions. Buy a furnace, get a free AC from Bill's Heating and Air Conditioning. Call today for estimates and repairs.
Some people say the metaverse will only be virtual. But one day, this farmer will use augmented reality to help ensure the best yield. Urban planners will model traffic solutions to help decrease commute times. Exploring a spacecraft in a museum is one thing, but one day, the metaverse will help students learn about the rings of Saturn. The metaverse may be virtual, but the impact will be real.
My son's name was Carson. He was just the light of my life. His anxiety and his inability to sleep caused him to purchase a pill from Snapchat, and we know that it's what killed him. Congresswoman McMorris Rodgers is bringing awareness to this. She personally reached out to me. She took the time to hear Carson's story. She has been driven in trying to prevent further loss.
I'm Kathy McMorris Rodgers, and I approve this message.
4 News Now is brought to you by Foothills Mazda.
Here is your Wednesday planner. High temperature of 80 degrees, blue skies and sunshine. If you want to get a taste of fall, just get up early. It's cool in the morning.
I thought you were going to say something about pumpkin spice.
Well, you could do that too.
Which isn't a bad idea. That's Alex's favorite beverage.
I'm going down to Pullman in the morning. Might have to stop by Starbucks on the way back.
Yeah.
A little treat, a little something.
Sure, you deserve it.
Venti?
Venti, always.
Oh, well, yeah.
You think I'm going to go with a little cup that small? Like, no.
I don't know. It hits differently depending on who you're talking to.
Venti hole.
Stream 4 News Now on your TV for free with the KXLY Plus app. See breaking news in your area or have a story idea? Contact 4 News Now.